Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, David. How you doing tonight?
Kind of one of those nights when you wonder, like, why do we do this? Why, why are we investing our time in this? Isn't there better things to do? Oh God, it was a little bit of the old taste, a little taste of the decade of darkness there tonight, Bruce. The Edmonton Oilers lose 3-0 to the Montreal Canadiens.
3-1, 3-1.
Oh, excuse me, 3-1. Yeah, I got the
It
one.
just
That one at
seemed
the
like
end.
another shutout, just like Saturday seemed like a shutout.
Yeah,
Late consolation goal.
yeah. So this is our two good things, two bad things, and two numbers podcast, because it was a particularly bad evening for the Edmonton Oilers, where they dropped to 1 win and 3 losses, just a little bit of a hole to start the regular season. We're going to go with two bad things each. Bruce, what's your good thing?
Well, I got to go with that one consolation goal, I guess. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of real happy moments to choose among tonight. And trailing 3-0 late, Devon Shore, who to this point as an Oiler had done very little to distinguish himself, made a very nice play, taking advantage of a very dumb play by Montreal's Jonathan Drouin, who was the last man back on the power play, protecting a 3-0 lead with 2 minutes left, decided he would try and beat his man one-on-one at his own blue line. And he was he paid the price for that indiscretion. There was a good play by Shore to check the puck loose and jump in on the breakaway and actually fire a shot that hit the post and went in, as opposed to just hitting the post. And
He sniped
that
it.
avoided the shutout and and made the score a little bit closer. But this wasn't, in my view, a very close game or a very interesting game, to be honest.
Yeah, grade A scoring chances were 8-6 for Montreal. And that's giving the Shea Weber goal, calling that a grade A chance, where he put it in off Koskinen's head. But I do think that was in a very smart and fairly,
Deliberate.
not a difficult, in some ways, not that difficult to shot. You just have to put it off his body, because he had all kinds of time to set that up and put it in. Anyway, 8 grade A chances for Montreal and just 6, Bruce, for the Oilers. Like, you just don't not win hockey games when you have 6 grade A chances. Devon Shore, of course, was redeeming himself on that one, because there was something to like about his hustle on that play, the shorthanded goal against, because he came back so hard, but the guy he was checking was already covered, and he left Shea Weber open. So it was like a working hard but not working smart play where he wiped out Koskinen. My good thing, Bruce, I'm going to go with the play of two defensemen, kind of underrated defensemen. I'll go with Chris Russell, who I just thought looked like he was settled, like he's making good plays. Like the whole team seems so unsettled for some reason, and I think I can put my finger on it, and we're going to get to that. But he was just a calming force out there, veteran D man who makes the safe play, makes the right play usually, and I thought he was good. And the other guy I've just been who has impressed the hell out of me this year is Slater Cuckoo. He just had another strong game, I thought, Bruce. He passes the puck well. He got beat once down the wing, I can recall, pops in my head, but I don't think a scoring chance came out of it by some good luck there. But he's a good mover of the puck, good player. I like his game so far. So my good thing will be Russell and Cuckoo.
Yeah, tell me who in the pool had Slater Cuckoo as your one right defenseman by Game 4 of the regular season. That's what he was tonight. And he played 19 minutes and 54 seconds,
Yeah.
which is a lot for...
And he was better than his partner out there, I'll tell you that, Bruce. He had a better game than Darnell Nurse did. All right, let's get to bad things.
Is that your bad thing? Okay.
No, that's an extra bad thing. It's hard not for other extra bad things to bubble up and creep in. So sorry. If you're just trying to... People really expect us to be disciplined and limit ourselves to 2. Well, that was the lack of discipline of the Oilers is leaking over to this podcast. Bruce, what's your first bad thing?
Well, I got to go with the Oilers power play, and that's not a statement we would have made often last year, being a bad thing, but it was atrocious tonight. It was bad on Saturday night, going 0 for 3 with a shorthanded goal against. But tonight they doubled down, going 0 for 7 with a shorthanded goal against. So 2 games in a row, the power play got beat straight up on goals, right? 0-4, 1 against. And you know what? Tonight it was. I was pretty honest. I mean, I'm looking over this short list of scoring chances. The power play generated one chance, and 7 opportunities with the man advantage. That was the one late in the second. It looked like they might be coming to life, and they got the delayed penalty, and Draisaitl set up Cahoon for a great chance, and then Montreal got the whistle, and then right off the hop on the power play, um, Chiasson set up Draisaitl for a great chance in the slot, and this was maybe Jake Allen's best save or best 2 saves of the game, right then and there. And then a few seconds later, McDavid got whistled down on a pretty chintzy call, and that ended the one dangerous-looking power play that they had all night. Otherwise, they couldn't get out of their own way, David. They couldn't get over the blue line. There was like 4 or 5 different times in the game where 4 guys on the power play were stacked up just outside the Montreal blue line, trying to make these passes left and right while they're standing there and nobody's bloody skating. So they couldn't even enter the zone. When they did enter the zone, they couldn't win a puck battle and just kept sent down again. And it's just it's not clicking, and it's
Yeah,
not very organized, and I think the pressure is on certain Mr. Tyson Barrie to start showing what it is he was brought in to do, because so far it ain't happening.
Got off a good shot there that might have gone in if it wasn't deflected. But I agree, it's related to Barrie, Bruce, but it's in another way it's not. It's related more to the absence of Oscar Klefbom. Right. They just had it down, right? They had their system down, and everyone knew what they were doing. And Barry's a bit more of a chaos player. He's a bit more, he's more jazz than he is,
right,
playing the notes off the score of a symphony orchestra. He's going here and there. And that worked the one game against the second game against Vancouver. That was a thing to behold when that was going well. But there's no chemistry right now in this power play. And it got so bad, and this is my bad thing, Draisaitl, he started rushing things. Like, he tried to beat the whole team on the rush. He didn't, then the next play he turns it over. He starts to rush things and give away the puck on Draisaitl. He gets impatient. And it's just one of the reasons that he was my bad thing. But yeah, Bruce, they're not going down low. They went down low once to Chiasson, and he set up Draisaitl. That pass down low, they don't do that very much. They're kind of, it's the 3 big guys, I think, wanting to run the power play too much and not using the other 2 guys is what I'm seeing. They're not using Chiasson and not using Barrie enough, perhaps. And it's a little early to make, that, assess it. It's going to take some time to get some chemistry, but part of it is going to be figuring out, if it's James Neal down there or Yamamoto, like if they don't want to pass it to Chiasson down there for whatever reason, they think he's going to give it away. Well, they got to get a guy down there who they can pass it to then, because they're trying to run essentially, I think my initial take is, I'd have to watch the power plays again to be sure, but I think they're trying to run a 3-man power play, Bruce, and the other teams are onto them. And they've got to run a 5-man power play. So Draisaitl's the chief culprit in that, I would suggest. And turning over the puck too much. And at even strength, Bruce, I just didn't like his effort at all. He's not playing center. Like, he's not getting in his own zone, commanding the puck enough, and driving the middle of the ice and taking charge on his own line. I didn't like his game tonight. He wasn't particularly horrible, except as being at the center of the power play problems. But I didn't like his effort overall tonight. It was one of those nights where his feet were not moving. Same goes for that other big man tonight, Puljujärvi. I don't know what he's doing out there. He was just coasting around. The big guys got to drive their feet. They got to get moving, and I didn't see that from either of those two. So that's my first bad thing. What's your second bad thing?
Well, it's I thought a lack of intensity on the part of the Oilers. I
Yeah.
just didn't see enough there. I mean, after they lost the opening game to Vancouver, they bounced back with a real strong effort in game two. And when they lost so badly to Montreal on Saturday, I thought, oh, we'll at least see something resembling the Oilers' A or A minus game tonight. No way. That was like, to me, their D game. There was just no real drive or push there. I didn't get the sense that they were uh, that into it, to use the old Jason Arnott expression. Tonight, I mean, part of it, it's a physical game. And these counts don't necessarily mean a lot every night, but some nights they do. And tonight, hits 31 for Montreal, 17 for Edmonton. Those 31 hits by Montreal were delivered by 16 different players out of the 18 that dressed. For Edmonton, they had 10 players that had no hits at all. And they just weren't up to the physical challenge of the Canadiens. On the blue line, little Chris Russell, he had 2 hits. He had twice as many as the other 5 D men combined. Like, where was the physicality? Just wasn't there. I mean, Darnell Nurse, I mean, he's the Oilers' physical leader. Well, he got his clock cleaned by Brendan Gallagher on a definite revenge cheap hit for the cheap hit that Darnell landed on Gallagher late in Saturday's game. And both of them were rightly called penalties for taking advantage with malice aforethought of an opponent in a vulnerable position. But he wound up with 0 hits on the game, and if that's your physical leader, and he doesn't respond, and Zach Kassian, I mean, he was in the lineup tonight. Oilers desperately missed him on Saturday, but they missed him almost as much tonight because he had very, very little impact on that game. 1 good hit on Josh Anderson. Otherwise, 0 shot attempts, 0 anything else, 0 real, like I say, no, like I thought he might really come out pumped after the birth of his baby daughter, and congratulations, Zach, on birth of your daughter. But that game, it just didn't happen, and I don't want to even single him out. That
Well,
unfair, because he had lots of company.
that was your
But
bonus bad thing there, Bruce, that you
well,
slipped
it's
in.
part of the lack of intensity of the team,
Sure.
which I
Yeah.
singled out a couple of their would-be emotional leaders who didn't.
The only guy who seems to be hustling consistently every game all year long is Yamamoto, like in the 4 games, who stood out for hustle to me
Hmm.
is Kailer Yamamoto. Um, yeah, I wonder how many of the hits came in the first period too, Bruce, because the Oilers did seem to come out finishing the check and hitting, and they did
Good
look better, but
question.
they could only manage 1 grade A scoring chance in the first
Yeah.
for all that hitting, and they had some power play chances too. So yeah, pretty demoralizing for the team, I bet, when they're used to seeing that power play score, to not have that not happen when you're kind of counting on that. So that's part of what's going wrong.
Hmm.
But Bruce, listen, the Oilers have, since they moved Nugent-Hopkins off Draisaitl's line to play with McDavid, the Oilers have 2 wins and 7 losses. And 4 of those losses were really significant losses in the playoffs against Chicago. That didn't give Dave Tippett pause, I guess, and he's back at it this year. And I was okay with that because they've added some talented players, and you want to see how it goes. Cahoon's played with Draisaitl before, see how that goes. I get that, but it is now time. It is now time. The old Kevin Lowe saying, the definition of insanity is, what is it, doing the same thing again and again, even when it's not working, something along those lines.
Yeah.
We're seeing that at this point. There is no chemistry right now on the top line between Nugent-Hopkins, McDavid, and Kassian. There is none right now. And there hasn't been much chemistry except for 1 game all year, frankly. Draisaitl's line has been okay, but just okay. And, I just, they need a line, Bruce. They need that line that the Oilers can send out there and count on to play in the other team's end and get a chance. Get the momentum in the game. And they didn't have any momentum all game long because they didn't have one line that did that all game long. They have 0 lines that are working right now, not one. And So the obvious thing is go back to that line. And I'll just say this because I've said it needs to be repeated until he changes the lines. You have something that the other teams were unable to stop. If you don't make those other teams stop that thing, you're not doing your job as a coach. You're failing as a coach. And you shouldn't fail your team like that. You've got to go back to that line, and you got to do it right away.
Well, I got to change something up because what's going on right now isn't working. And honestly, I didn't think any of Nugent-Hopkins, McDavid, or Cassian had anything close to an inspired effort in this game. It wasn't just chemistry that was missing; it was fire. Where was it?
Yeah, McDavid was hitting in the first period. Like he threw a couple hits, I noticed. But
yep.
Yeah, he's got to get it. They got to get it together. They got to crank it up, and it's not happening yet. All right. So, what's your number?
I'm going to go with 3 and 8, which is Edmonton Oilers' last 11 games that they played, and all 11 of them were in Rogers Place in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, home ice. And of those 11 games, they won the first one, late season game 4-1 over Columbus in a brutal hockey game, but Edmonton came out on top. I think Koskinen was the story that night. Then they lost their last 2 games of the regular season, which ultimately cost them in the playoff seedings. And then, of course, they got in the playoffs, won 1 game out of 4 against Chicago in the play-ins. And now, several months later again, they're equally seemingly unready for the return to play as they were in August. And again, 1-3-0 in a 4-game homestand to start the season. And this has been a pet peeve of mine for years, is how the Oilers have always struggled to make their home barn their barn, where, they make it a tough place to play. And it just hasn't happened enough. I mean, Montreal, I'll give them credit. They played well. They played way better on Saturday than they had to tonight. And tonight, Montreal was sloppy with a lot of penalties and so on. But, they got the job done. But it's a good thing they're going on the road. It's overdue. And hopefully they will respond to a different environment, because they have gone absolutely stale in Rogers Place in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada.
Are they confined to their hotel rooms when they go? Do you know? Can they walk around the city at least when they go to a different city? Or is it like is it this weird thing where they got to stay in their hotel room? I mean, because Bruce, these are home games, but they're really they're like home soundstage games, like
Yeah, no, they're not real home games other than those 3 in March.
Yeah.
They don't have fans or anything, but they do. I mean, they know the rink. There should be some advantages. They have the last change in all but the 2 games against Chicago, I guess, where they're officially the road team in their own barn. But I don't know what it is, but it's very discouraging, frankly.
Indeed. So, speaking of discouraging, my number is 0. Mm-hmm. So we've tracked great major contributions to grade A scoring chances for years now, and certainly ever since Connor McDavid has been with the Oilers. I think his first year was actually maybe the first year that we started to break this specific stat out from scoring chances. And I can't remember a game, Bruce, where Connor McDavid did not make a major contribution to a grade A scoring chance. But tonight that happened. He did not, neither on the power play nor at even strength, did Connor McDavid make one significant contribution to a grade A scoring chance. I don't believe he was on the ice at even strength, at least, when there was a grade A scoring chance that came about for the Edmonton Oilers. So it was his worst game, possibly his worst game as an Edmonton Oiler tonight. Certainly on the attack, it was one of his worst, probably his worst game. And I don't know. Maybe they're going to go to the coach went to Yamamoto, McDavid, and Draisaitl. I could see them trying that, because that's the next thing they always try, is to put Draisaitl and McDavid together.
Mhm.
With Yamamoto, it might actually work, but that's really stacking your lines, really stacking your team, and good luck with the other lines. I just, I think they should fall back to what worked, and we'll see. Who would be McDavid's line mates? Then would be the question, right? So, maybe you go if James Neal is ready. I don't know, when's he ready? But I think you could go with Cahoon.
Sooner the better.
I think Cahoon might fit in well with McDavid. He's
Hmm.
he doesn't play that much. He doesn't get much ice time, it seems to be, but he got a scoring chance tonight. He's been around the net a little bit. Um, and maybe James Neal goes in the lineup and plays on the other wing. I don't know who they'll put there, but or Cassian.
Well,
You could stick with Cassian and Cahoon and McDavid and give that a try. That's what I would hope to see, but we'll see what the coach does. They just hope. I think it is time for change, though. I mean, I think that's got to be obvious now, and we'll see what happens.
right. Well, according to Natural Stat Trick, scoring chances tonight with McDavid on the ice at even strength, 13 minutes and change, 0 for Edmonton, 3
Yeah,
for, and the power play. I mean, we talked about already 0 for 7 with only 8 shots on net the entire game, and several of those shots actually came from the second unit when Tippett got discouraged with the first unit and sat him on the bench for a bit. So it wasn't there, and I mean, I don't know. It's
do you know?
the only line that had the advantage in scoring chances is kind of weird was the fourth line of Shore with Chason and Archibald. They were 1-4-0 against, but they were the only line that actually got scored on in the game. It was such an outside shot they didn't even call it a scoring chance. It was just a
Yeah, that
floater
was
from outside that went through Koskinen. I mean, we could list that as a bad thing too. Killer
it.
goal.
It was like I don't want to let Koskinen off the hook on that one. It was through a double screen again. It was like twice we've seen these. Like the other game against Vancouver was through, or was that against Montreal? But it was through four players, and this time it was through two. Archibald and Nurse
Hmm.
both failed to block the shot, and it went right, somehow got through them. And Koskinen only sees the shot as it gets past Nurse then, but he should have had that one anyway. Like, come on.
Right through the six hole under his stick arm. You got to
Yeah,
seal
a
that up.
couple. He was otherwise okay-ish. Like, the one off his head was a little bit weird too. Obviously, very weird. You get wiped out, and it's hard to blame the goalie on a play like that. Bruce, is James Neal? Do you know what is he?
They said he was skating around the ice hard at practice today, and that he might be close. And they're going to have to figure out a way to get him on the roster. But the sad fact is that tonight, Dave Tippett made all the changes available to him. He benched 3 players. He brought 3 players down from the press box and gave them all a game. And it really did nothing to change the momentum against Montreal, who
I guess
again had their way with it.
you could take put Nygaard on the because he's cleared waivers, right? So you could put
Yep.
him on the taxi squad and pull
Yep.
Neal up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They have moves they can make. Same thing with Devon Shore. He's cleared waivers, so they could make a decision on game day. I mean,
I
I
like
guess
his
they could have
speed.
benched those 2 guys today and brought in 2 from the taxi squad, and then they could have changed 5 guys. But I don't know that they've got
Do
the
you think
horses at this point.
do you think we'll see Bear or Jones back? I think we'll
Yes.
see Bear back
Hmm.
definitely. I don't know if we'll see Jones back quite yet. Might be. I think they're going to stick with Russell after that game. Would be
Probably.
my guess. Yeah, but I think we'll see Ethan Bear back, and Lagesson was okayish. I didn't. He was. I thought a very quiet game, but Ethan Bear is clearly a better player than Lagesson at this point, and they need Ethan Bear in the lineup. Darnell Nurse, I think that pairing was good last year, okay to good,
Hmm.
in fairly tough minutes. So they need to reunite them, and then we'll see where maybe we'll have Kukuk and Larson and Barry and Russell. All right, Bruce. Well, any other thoughts?
No, they got to get things turned around between now and they're going to Toronto for 2, Winnipeg for 2,
Oh,
and they just going to have to bring a way better game than what they showed in three of these first. I mean, they deserved to lose the three games they lost. They deserved to win the one game that they won. But, they won that game. Here's my thought. They won that game by going hard to the net. They scored, so far this year, they scored 10 goals, and they got half of them in that one game that they won. Well, the 5 goals they scored in game 2 against Vancouver, 3 of them were in rebounds, right in or on the lip of the blue paint. The fourth one was a redirection by Nugent-Hopkins, driving hard, basically tapped it home from the edge of the blue paint. And of the other games that they played, all of the goals have been on shots from distance. Like they're not getting inside, and so they're not scoring. I mean, 5 goals in 3 games versus 5 goals in the one game. And the one game where they consistently went hard to the net, they got rewarded for it. Hello, let's start doing that again.
Yeah, we fans could use a win. I'm sure they could too. I'm sure they're desperate for it at this point.
Yeah, one win every 4 months isn't doing it for me, David.
Anyway, let's just leave it there. That was plenty gloomy.
Yeah. Well, I'm feeling pretty gloomy after that game. Saturday night, I was kind of upbeat. I enjoyed the game, even though Montreal, at least it was an action-packed game.
Yeah.
This game, there was a little bit of action and not a lot going on.
It was
Can't
so
get
frustrating.
over the blue line, a lot of that kind of stuff. Or
Bruce, isn't that the truth?
Puck down to their own end again and again.
Yeah, just get the puck deep, man. Come on, get it. Every time I saw that, I just felt like bashing my head against my fist. Anyway, all right, Bruce, let's leave it there.
All right, let's
hope for better days.
Game grades on this. I think they'll be a little terse tonight, but I never really know until I get into it. Maybe I'll unload on a few people for fun, but I'm not even feeling like that kind of fun tonight. I'm just kind of, that happened.
Bruce, thanks for talking tonight.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.